Alright folks, turn 29. Now, very unfortunate event this turn. Edirol, the one province where I really didn't want that to happen, was attacked by barbarians and wiped out. So, I'm moving my troops back to do that. I anticipate that he'll expect me to assault this fortress, which I absolutely would do, but he'll attack me with this force right here. In fact, he may try to cut off my retreat while breaking siege, so I'd much rather have these troops back here, make sure that I wipe out these barbarians with no casualties, receive whatever attack he launches, not get caught out here without my mage support, which is coming up. I've got a significant Magus Communion, and right now I just have them scripted to all spam Strange Fires, but we're going to drop a bunch of fire and earth gems on these cats. Like this, just so I have the capacity to use them in combat if I need to. Now, obviously, his Safaran Guard are highly resistant to, for example, fire elementals, but his gladiators are not, and he's built a lot of gladiators, and his polemarchs are not immune to fire elementals either. So, we're still recruiting a bunch of Saoi. We've got Sanatomo here running around collecting them up. They are morale 20 under his guidance because they're crazy good. But he gives up an insane morale bonus. So he's got 12 there. He's going to pick up another 12 here and then backtrack through. Or he might use them to try and hold off the Blood Boys, who are storming Prime. Prime sprung their attempted trap this turn and it failed. What they'd done was they'd launched an assassin with a black bow of Botolf in order to feeble-mind his Liber Consul, which they successfully did. And since this Liber Consul is feeble-minded, he can't cast Divine Blessing, and the hope was then that all these Sacreds would not be blessed. The problem was, there was another Liber Consul who just moved in, with an Amulet of Missile Protection. So this Liber Consul did not get feeble-minded, and as such can cast Divine Blessing, and give the Blood Boys Incredible Ridiculous Bless to all of their units. That Incredible Ridiculous Bless is magic weapons, fire and cold resistance, HP, regeneration, blood bond, heat aura, chill aura, and fortitude. So anyone fighting these guys in melee is fucked. 100% fucked. And despite all the skill spam, there was quite a bit of skill spam, but there just wasn't enough power here to stop this from happening. So these Eagle Warriors took quite a few casualties. The Seir took pretty much no casualties because Blood Bond is ridiculously powerful against this kind of thing. Now, spamming Strange Fire would be enough to overcome that, I think. But yeah, he just got 8. He just got 8. You can see here he killed 35 units, most of them Eagle Warriors. In Frosted Peaks, more troops are moving in, which is fine. In Halemire, we killed the Dryad, and we got a pretty significant treasure, which is nice. We got some extra income there. Then we got attacked by barbarians. We tried 3 assassinations. 1 was successful. So we lost 2 stalkers, but we did kill a Marshmaster. Super worth it, killing a slow-to-recruit 230 gold mage. And blood hunting is still going fine, and we are raising another vampire. We've got Arab Mav, who absolutely is not vampire backwards. Here, ready to move out. All of my vampires, Avon P.I.R., Dr. Acula, and Arab Mav, those 3 are all moving down to Fields of Gold. We've also got Alucard up here casting Pale Riders to reinforce my armies up on that side. And I'm starting to feel like I need a few more Magi, sort of down in the area, you know, just because. So we've got some Magi being recruited there. We've got a Magus being recruited there. This Conjurer I'm actually going to cancel, and we're going to cut out 1 more of my Sacred recruits to get a Magus going there. So we've got some Magi building up down here to try and hold off the armies. And we also have some Sacred Troop recruitment that we can drop our Bless on to try and do some damage. In terms of chaff, we are a little bit light. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cancel those guys and just spam out burgers. There we go. We've got all our Burgmeister guards coming out. Up here, we're not actually recruiting anything, which is bad. Let's cut that down so that we can recruit a Conjurer up there. That's fine. Okay, so we'll take Edirol back. We're upgrading this fortress. Urbuthri is going to also join the Communion. He can just be a Communion slave for now, I guess. That'll be fine. Edelhar is site searching. And we're just kind of waiting to see what's what. In terms of research, we're about to hit Evocation level 5, which will open up all kinds of sweet options like Gifts from Heaven and Earthquakes. We can cast Earthquakes very easily, although we do need to have a little bit of, you know, defensive power active when we do that. And Stellar Cascades, Astral Geyser, Shadow Blast, great spell for our vampires to be throwing. As well as the gifts from heaven, the meteors. After that, we're going to be running down Thaumaturgy so we can get Mind Burn, Teleport, and Paralyze, and Soul Slay, our combat spells, as well as our undead, anti-undead combat spells. Like, because Thaumaturgy, isn't it Thaumaturgy that has Wither Bones in it? Yes, Thaumaturgy level 6 is Wither Bones. So, we should be okay. Should be in an okay spot. I am going to contact Blood Boys, try to do a little bit of diplomacy, see if I can. I anticipate I'll probably only be able to grab Fields of Gold, but after that we're going to see if we can, like, not be next on the menu. Maybe direct them into the Sacreds of Hell and let's you and him fight kind of situation. And we'll see what we can do. So, that's turn 29. I'll see y'all in turn 30. Okay, folks, it's turn 30, and Prime just sent us a death basket. Because they are about to die. Because they've been wiped out, their last defense has been destroyed, Prime has been overtaken, and so they have they've sent us a death basket in order to, in the hopes that we'll do something about the Blood Boys, which, to be frank, we're not right now. We will sometime soon. In the Mercs, we have actually found the Ancient Master, which is an experience site, which would be really useful if we were a faction that desperately needed a ton of experience, but we're not. So we're just going to kind of let that be. We've taken Fields of Gold with our spam, our Skeletal Spam from our Immortal Diabolists, which is pretty effective. We can see back here those three guys just casting Horde of Skeletons. They just crap out a few skeletons and take a brief nap, and then they crap out more skeletons. That's enough skeletons to do a pretty decent job. Three of those guys spamming Horde of Skeletons are a pretty good raiding force, and they are also a force that can be pretty much anywhere at any time because they're stealthy and they fly. Which is nice. We've hit Evocation level 5, Thaumaturgy level 2. Excuse me, I'm choking on my own spit. We've cast Riot of Immortality, and we are about to cast it again. Tusha Arpfangs is sneaking over here to join Avon Pier, Dr. Acula, and Eripmav in Gaeta. We're going to sneak them over here and start doing some raiding, taking provinces, in order to damage the Order of the Divine Flame's economy and distract them from our main army. Our main army is assembled over here and is going right back into Amphalia. We had pulled back to wipe out the barbarians, which we did with, unfortunately, some casualties, including 4 of our own chariots. I think primarily due to meteor friendly fire. I'm pretty sure. A lot of strange fires going down. And yeah, a lot of friendly fire in this case, especially among the chariots. The friendly fire was fucking real. A few barbarians still alive over there, and yeah. So pretty significant friendly fire. Unfortunate, but it's okay. We will survive. All of the crossbowmen lived, and most of the Burgmeister guards, and that is mainly what we need. Unfortunately, we did lose an Ujigami. This Ujigami actually got quite unlucky, but he got attacked by this Dryad. And now here's the interesting thing. This battle went really, really weirdly. So he blessed himself. So he's blessed up. He's got high morale. He's ethereal. He has magic weapons. He has a really good strength bless. He's got pretty high attack skill, and his morale is quite high. And Demeter the Dryad is not casting Swarm. Demeter is casting Blessing and then Enlarge. And then Demeter casts Panic, and watch what happens. We've got these Burgmeister Guard who have 11 morale, right? Watch what happens. She casts Panic, which drops their morale to... This one didn't take the penalty, but this one took the penalty, down to 8. And so did the Ujigami. And immediately thereafter, but they're fighting a little bit, right? And then they just run. They just entirely rout. For no reason that I can really see. And as a result, Murashika dies. Despite the fact that, given like 1 or 2 more rounds of combat, would have just killed Demeter the Dryad outright. So that was frustrating, since he was a pretty significant leader. That was Fields of Gold. We were then attacked in Amphalia, where we lost 57 Burgmeister Guard that he was leading. So out of I started off with about 140. They took some friendly fire, and a bunch of their gladiators would have vanished after this battle, from either taking damage or scoring a hit. But we can see what they're doing. They are dropping meteors primarily, which is a very, very high friendly fire strategy. They're also casting a lot of Sulfur Cloud, which is good for wiping out my troops because they tend to be low HP. And they've got a whole bunch of polemarks. And so their polemarks, once they're buffed up, end up with strength 22, attack 14, defense 15. They have magic resistance pretty high. They have some reinvigoration, shock and cold resistance. They've got the blood surge. They're resistant to all forms of damage, and they have prot 30. So they're very, very, very hard to kill. But not impossible. Strange Fires is unlikely to do much damage to them, but Gifts from Heaven, Mindburn, and Soul Slay can still deal with them. The question will just be, can we deal with them and deal with their troops in the same battle? And that will be kind of the issue. But in general, we're doing fine. We're moving this army back in. We've got a lot of crossbowmen. The crossbows will do pretty significant damage, especially if we can get some Strength of Giants on them. The Demons of Heavenly Fires, likewise, will do a lot of damage. The Flaming Wheels will punch right through their prot and their fire resistance, hopefully, to do at least chip damage per hit, since they will be so very strong. We're summoning fire elementals. We've got a lot of strange fires. We're summoning some earth elementals as well, so we'll see how that battle goes. I think it'll be fine. Up here, we're building that fortress. We're recruiting stalkers and pumping out crossbows. Over here, we've still got Magi and Saoi coming out. Sanetomo is moving north again with a pretty significant contingent of Saoi. He's going to pick up some more right here and then in the capital as well, and form a secondary army moving forward. We've got plenty of blood hunting going on, and yeah, overall things are going pretty well. And we're starting to blood hunt here in Dragon Ridge as well with a couple of mages. We've got some more moving down to join the party. So, our blood economy should be ramping up fairly soon, and once it's ramped up a little bit further, we should be able to start recruiting 2 Immortal Diabolists per turn, at which point we'll be in pretty decent shape overall. I've contacted Blood Boys. We've agreed to be best friends forever, which of course will not happen that way, but we'll see. I'm hoping that he considers me to be one of the much more minor threats, and so isn't too worried about me, which is great, because I'm worried about him, and I would rather not get into that fight while I'm fighting this fight over here. And we'll just, we'll see how this goes. Hopefully I'll be able to fight this war against Demise and do some damage quickly. Push him onto the back foot and take over some territory, especially these delicious farms that he's got here. So, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all on turn 31. Okay, folks, it's turn 31. Sigurd the Cultist has claimed the Throne of Water, which is a little bit of a problem. We've cast Rites of Immortality, Dark Knowledge, Pale Riders, didn't find anything there. But here's the interesting thing, the battle in Amphalia. Let's take a look at this. This is the first clash of our armies, my army against Demise's, and the first test of my theory. My theory that my armor-piercing fire damage, my fire elemental summons, and my crossbows can defeat his armies and, more importantly, his thugs. So he's got a large communion of the Dukos scattered around here. Quite a few of them. He's also got a total of 7 polemarks. His polemarks are ungeared. He's using them as... This is like the army thug theory, right? That these guys are relatively low investment, that you could toss them into the army, and they become very hard to counter. He's also got the Purifier, his prophet, in here. He's got a couple lines of gladiators, he's got a line of Colossi Light Infantry, and right out front he's got just a few Sovaran Guard, a few other random units scattered around back in here, Limitani Pramanis, etc., etc., and of course his bunches of Dadukos. On my side of the field, of course, I've got my contingent of Centaur Chariots, I've got my random Chaff Infantry out front, I've got a small line of Burgmeister Guard, and then a large triple line of crossbows. Directly behind it, I have my Magus Communion, which is, I think, comparable in size to his Dadukos Communion, perhaps a little bit smaller. And then down in this corner, I have my trump card, the Demons of Heavenly Fires, with their Flaming Wheel ammunition, their armor-piercing Flaming Wheel attacks. And I have George Washington, the Witch Hunter General, and a Burgmeister Guard who is about dead of disease. So, the battle starts. On both sides, we're communing up. The crossbow bolts start flying in, doing some pretty good damage right off the bat. He does have, yes, he also has one Marshmaster who is throwing Shadow Blast, which is a pretty good choice, but is wasted on my Chaff in the early engagements. My Chariots go in, the Chariots start attacking, so now, he's dropping Gifts from Heaven on me immediately. He's also throwing Sulfur Haze, but once again, the Sulfur Haze is just going into my Chaff. These are basically wasted shots. It's okay for them to take those hits. We, meanwhile, are throwing Strange Fire into his infantry. We're taking pretty good pounding from the meteors, but I've managed to get luck, as well as... not stones again, it looks like. I've gotten luck on my Communion, I have 9 communion slaves. They're all lucky and stone-skinned, as well as fire resistant, so that's good. In the front lines, we're gonna go through this kind of slowly. In the front lines, my front line chaff is essentially evaporated. However, his own troops have taken quite a bit of damage, and his gladiators are now marching through his own sulfur cloud. I have begun to summon fire elementals, and so we're getting a bunch of fire elementals out, plus my demons of heavenly fires are advancing. Now, in advancing like this, they are getting into the crossbowmen, which is unfortunate, but it'll be fine. And, of course, the demons of heavenly fires are pretty significantly buffed. They're at strength 26 right now with the heat bonus, the bless bonus, and the enchantment. So 26 armor-piercing damage on those flaming wheels, nothing to sneeze at, plus 24 damage on their punch, and then another 12 AP fire effect as well. They're doing pretty well. In the back, the polemarchs are buffing themselves up and being buffed. They're ethereal, they're fire and shock and cold resistant, they're damage resistant, they're up to 30 prot. They're very, very tough boys. Okay. So, fire damage coming in on all sides, the flaming wheels are starting to throw, and they pretty much are killing what they hit. Meteor is still raining down on me, but not doing a ton of damage. They're hitting some of the crossbows, but beyond that, they're having trouble dealing with the mages. My flaming wheels are going in, and as are the fire elementals. We've got a lot of fire elementals coming in now. More meteors falling on us, and here come the first of the polemarchs advancing to the fore. Now, that polemarch is running through a sulfur cloud, but fortunately it dissipated just as it reached. But my cadre of fire elementals now is in the mix, and fire elementals are really, really good at dealing with polemarchs. We're dropping gifts from heaven of our own. That polemarch is charging towards the crossbows, and you can see the gifts from heaven just took one out down there. They've taken out quite a few of the enemy units. That polemarch is down to 27 hit points. That one's still at 35, uninjured so far, but he just took a hit from a firebolt that knocked him down by a hit point. Down here, these polemarchs are fighting these fire elementals and struggling because, of course, the fire elementals' attacks ignore their defense skill, have their prot, and ignore their ethereality. So a size 6 fire elemental hits for 23 armor piercing. Reduced by 5 fire resistance makes it 18 armor piercing, which is still enough to get through 18 prot without any trouble. So, that guy up there is also being targeted by Mind Burn, which even through his magic resistance 19 has hit him once or twice. He's down to 2 hit points. That one's routing at 25 hit points, and we are chasing them off the field with meteors, which is fine because nothing is chasing them very closely. So, all of the polemarchs are now routed. The armies are in full retreat. Meteors falling on them as they flee. I think the Purifier is going to get away. We can see here most of my infantry has been annihilated, but I still have significant numbers of crossbows and significant numbers of Demons of Heavenly Fires, while the enemy army has been effectively destroyed. I forget whether the Purifier actually does get off the field. I think he does. Well, maybe, yeah, he gets off the field. Okay, so the Purifier gets off the field. But, overall, in that battle, I lost 1 Magus, and then I lost about 100 units. Pretty much all of my Bone Tribe Beast Hunters, my Centaur Chariots, most of my Bergmeister Guards were either killed or retreated. I lost about 1/3 of my crossbows, shading towards a half, all of my Deer Tribe Warriors, and about 1/3 of my Demons of Heavenly Fires. He lost his Marshmaster, 5 Dedukos, 4 Polemarchs, so they were dying to that. Absolutely, they were dying to it. 50 Gladiators, all of his Colossi Light Infantry, and all of his Savaran Guard. The Limitani Pramanis got away, and about 10 of the Gladiators got away, although they probably vanished after the battle. So what's left, essentially, is mages on both sides. Now, I still have relatively significant numbers of troops. I still have Bergmeister Guard, I still have crossbows. But the main thing here is, I went into this battle with 1, 2, 18 mages, and walked out with 17. And he went into this battle with 25, 26, 28 mages, and walked out with 18. So, in other words, I've cut his mage cohort way, way down there. So, things to keep in mind. Polemarchs are not immune, even with protection 30, and this is something that's really important to keep in mind. Even with high protection, you are not immune to armor-piercing weapons. Armor-piercing weapons are super, super powerful against high protection targets. Even just basic crossbows. I mean, a basic crossbow, right, does 11 piercing, armor-piercing damage. Well, piercing and armor-piercing means it reduces protection by 60%. So you cut it in half for the armor-piercing, so if you're a 30 prot Polemarch, that cuts it down to 15. And then you shave another 20% of your 15 off that. regular crossbows can do chip damage to polemarks even when they have 30 prot and temper flesh active. And when you only have 35 hit points, chip damage is all that's necessary to kill you. These polemarks don't have regeneration. They weren't geared with anything, so they're actually fairly fragile. All they have is 35 hit points. Once you've gotten past the prot, that's not a ton. The Demons of Heavenly Fires, they hit hard enough to cut right through fire resistance, right through prot. They absolutely do the damage. And of course, they're magical, so they also ignore ethereality. In terms of kills here, the Demons of Heavenly Fires actually got the most kills out of anybody. These 27 units killed more than these 107 crossbowmen. They're very much paying their dues. And my Magi got a very respectable number of kills as well. So, definitely happy about that. In Esquania, a random event lumber construct attacked us and got wiped out by our long dead horsemen. In Azimar, we got an extra 673 gold, that luck 3 paying off again. And we captured a ton of blood slaves. And our fortress over here was completed. Now, unfortunately, due to a failure to manage logistics last turn, I don't have quite enough blood slaves to summon another vampire, so we're just researching for right now. A perfectly normal human wizard is sneaking off. Down here, these 4 vampires, Avon P. Iyer, Dr. Acula, Eric Mav, and Tusha Arpfangs, are charging in to attack Old Land with their Horde of Skeletons strategy, so we'll just be spamming out some skeletons. 8 casts of Horde of Skeletons is like 40 skeletons, which should be, 4 vampires casting Horde of Skeletons should be enough, unless he patrols with a bunch of like polemarks or something, to lock this province down, to shut him off from recruiting for a turn, and to also delay reinforcements from this province from reaching Amphalia if he gathers troops. If he sends like the rest of his polemarks over here, of which he has, I believe this is somewhere north of 10 polemarks, over here, in order to go into Amphalia next turn, this should shut him down and prevent him from reaching Amphalia this turn, so that I have time to bring in more troops. I have 40 long dead horsemen and 26 more crossbows concentrating, led by Alucard. Here's the other interesting thing about Ulmish vampires, the Immortal Diabolists, the chassis that I use for them. They're leadership 80. So they do give a morale bonus, they can use formations, and they can lead relatively large numbers of troops, including they have high magic leadership, and they have high undead leadership. On top of that, they can fly, and they have map move 22, which means if I don't need a blessing, they can actually lead large numbers of my Demons of Heavenly Fires. And speaking of which, I have my guys researching, but right now I actually want all these guys to drop some sweet, sweet Heavenly Fires. Let's summon another Ujigami as well. So we've got 3 Heavenly Fires, we've got 9 more of them coming out. And we've got another Ujigami coming. That's fine. We're forging a Dwarven Hammer, and then up here we're forging a Crystal Coin, which we will be able to give to our Adepts of the Iron Order in order to help forge and cast some spells. We're recruiting another Adept of the Iron Order, and we're pumping out more Sawe as well. The crossbow strategy is definitely working. The mages definitely are working. Meteors, of course, kill polemarks in one hit if you can manage to hit them, and 1 or 2 of those polemarks that were killed in that battle were killed by meteors. So not Esquania, it was Amphalia. Losing 4 polemarks, like, this was a pretty significant vindication of my strategy, to be honest. In terms of losses, Dadukos are not cheap. Losing 5 of those guys is 900 gold right off the bat. Marshmasters are not cheap. That's another, so that's, over 1100 gold in mages, and then 4 polemarks, which are almost 300. He lost well over 2000 gold worth of mages in that fight, plus all of the infantry. Colossi light infantry are 700, the gladiators are 500, so there's another 1200. Overall, something like closing in on 4000 gold worth of losses there, compared to my, I lost 39 Burgmeister Guard, I lost a bunch of crossbows. I did lose some Demons of Heavenly Fires. I lost a couple summons worth of them. So, that's gems. I lost gems, and I spent gems winning that fight. But overall, very much worth it. It worked really, really well. Now, I don't have any fire gems left, so I can't summon any more fire elementals, which will limit my effectiveness. I can't summon earth elementals, so I do have a couple guys churning out some earth elementals from up here. And right now, I actually have all my troops broken up into bodyguard forces, because I know he still has dryads. He has at least 2 dryads here in the province. So all of my important mages are bodyguarded. And they should, emphasis on should, be able to stop a single dryad even if it's spamming Swarm, they have a shot. It's not a great shot, but it's a shot. 5 crossbows are a pretty decent bodyguard force because they're not affected by a Dryad's Awe, and they'll get a round of fire before the Dryad casts. So there's a chance that they will just ace the Dryad with a crossbow bolt right off the bat. Then 5 Burgmeister Guard aren't bad because they have decent morale, and they're relatively resilient against bugs. So they can buy the mage enough time to buff himself up and start casting useful spells, hopefully. And then, of course, down here, Munetaka actually has 5 Demons of Heavenly Fires bodyguarding him, which is fine for him because he has high prot and the ethereality, so he's tough. And as long as his morale holds, he'll live. Demons of Heavenly Fires have high morale. They have an excellent ranged attack, and they have a good melee attack. So they should be able, plus they're blessable, of course, which doesn't hurt. So they should be able to fight their way clear of a single Dryad spamming Swarm. Hopefully, you know, kind of cross your fingers, knock on wood situation. But hopefully I can catch and kill a couple of his Dryads trying to assassinate my troops. Then next turn I'll move in more troops, I'll have my vampires besieging old land, and we should be able to do some good, hopefully. You know, good is a relative term, like what can I say? And yeah, recruitment-wise, got the Adept. We're still recruiting Saoi, which I'm going to try out here. I know the crossbow thing is working for me, but I feel like the Saoi strategy could also be really good. If I can, of course, if I can set up the communion. Shaigi is actually standing here defending for right now, which he doesn't really need to be doing. He can go up there to pick up some more troops, I guess. And he can take with him... I don't need thralls. Thralls are unimportant. But he can go up here and pick up some of these crossbows that I'm pumping out up this way. We'll get a whole bunch of crossbows there. Yeah, I can't quite get 3. Okay, so yeah. Just pump out as many crossbows as we can. We're also double recruiting stalkers to make sure that we have some assassin power over on this side of the field. And yeah, should be good. Got pretty decent scouting. This is hilarious. Prime just went AI. And the turn he went AI, his god showed up. He had an imprisoned fetish. So this colossal fetish just showed up and wiped out the province defense and put Prime under siege, which is really stupidly hilarious, and I love it. I love it so much. We've got a bunch of assassins just kind of lurking around, so we're going to send this spare assassin over in this direction towards Gaeta, and should be good for some good old times. So, thanks for watching. That's turn 31. I think I'm doing well. I think this is promising. I don't think Demise has a whole lot more army available, certainly not at the moment. A lot of his troops kind of are expensive, and a lot of his mages are expensive, so I don't think he can replace his troops as fast as I can, and I think I can really accomplish something here. We're actually going to send Perfectly Normal Wizard over here to pick up these Heavenly Fires and fly with them to the front as fast as he can, just to get a little bit of reinforcement going on. And hopefully I should be able to take Amphalia and move on and grab Hoburgdorf, besiege Old Land and Gaeta, and accomplish some stuff. So, thanks for watching. See you next turn.